Hello Automation Kings, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm your host Sanj, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can build the ultimate AI agent that helps you post YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, okay? And what's great about the system is that it can take any content, it can make it better, it can make the titles and captions more viral, okay? It can make it more clickbaity, it can add hashtags, it can help you get and generate more views. But most importantly, it doesn't use costly APIs, okay? Because as you know, with these kind of automations, right, the more APIs that you call, the more services that you use, the cost is gonna be increased exponentially, okay? So I've basically removed all of that from the equation. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get down and build this. I'm inside of N8N and you can see that it uses an AI Reels agent, okay? So what that does is it will first search the Airtable, and I've created a base and I'll show you what that looks like. It will then take the content that's on there, the raw content, and it will create titles and captions, both for our YouTube Shorts and our Instagram Reels. It will then grab the video URL, which is just a link inside of Airtable. It will download the video. Then it basically splits off into two directions here. The first one, it will basically post a YouTube Short. Second one, it will post on Instagram, and this has a container, and you'll see why I need a container, okay? Because it's a little bit different. It's like a two-step process. Then once it's done, once it's successful, it will actually update the same Airtable with a done status, okay? So we'll do that for both YouTube and Instagram. And we have a condition here, which is an if statement. So if the YouTube and the IG is updated, then you can go ahead and update the entire status of the row there, okay? So this is what it looks like. You want to basically create a table that looks something like this. Basically, we have a record ID because this is how we're going to search the database, right? You always need a unique field. Then we've got the video name, video description, the video URL. I've got overall status, which is the last thing that gets updated. Once the YouTube is uploaded, the short is uploaded, it will then complete it. And once the Instagram is done, it will do that again, and obviously you've got the last modified time. So you can put in as much content in here as you want, and we'll go ahead and build that together. So the first node you want to connect is the schedule trigger. And again, you can set this up to whatever schedule you want. I'll leave that up to you. The next one you want is Airtable. So you want to search records, right? Because we are going to trigger based on a specific condition. Okay, so for the access token, what you want to do is set this up. I mean, now I've connected, but if you haven't done it before, head over to your Airtable, go down to Builders Hub, and then you can basically set up, if you go on the developers, there's a person's access token, which doesn't always seem to work for me, but I have it set up. But the one I used was the OAuth integrations, and you just set up a new integration, call it whatever you want, and then basically for the redirect, it's this URL here, okay? So just paste that here, give it a name, call it NN, wherever, register the integration, save it, okay? And then it will give you a client ID and a client secret, okay? Just save that in there, connect, and then just make sure that the account is green, okay? So I've already done that, and then I'm just gonna search for the correct base and the correct table. Wanna do that, just go here. And then for the formula, we basically want this here, okay? So if I go inside of here, and what this means is that for this to trigger, right, the status column inside of Airtable has to be pending, right? That's the only way this is gonna trigger. Okay, so if I go back into my Airtable, show you what that looks like. Just bring up the Kings, and then here you go here. So the first cycle is done because I already tested that before I ran the automation. I'll run this at the end of this video, but you can see here that this will only run if status is pending, okay, the first status, not the YouTube status and the Instagram status, because that's going to come later down in the workflow, okay? So that's all that means, is a status. Now, if you've called your column something else other than status, just make sure you map it correctly, okay? And if it's not called pending, then just make sure that you replace whatever's inside of these quotation marks, okay? And then make sure return all is selected. So let's just move that over. And then the next thing you want to do is, which is my favorite part of the automation, is the AI agent. So what you want is a basic LLM chain. Okay, so I'll show you how to set up. Just type in basic LLM chain or just LLM. Okay, And then for this, you want to define it below. And I'm just going to grab something from inside of here because I've already done the prompts. So this is the prompt here, okay? So I'm gonna open up this window so you can see it. So basically, you are an expert in generating viral platform optimized video titles and descriptions for short form content on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok Reels. I mean, I'm not doing TikTok for this, but you could have TikTok in there if you wanted to. TikTok's a bit more complicated in terms of the API, so I'll do that the next time. The content is very specific to the Mayan civilization. So I did a video a few weeks back, basically creating AI content for the Mayan civilization. Okay, so have a look at that video if you're not familiar with that, and basically you'll see what the content looks like. So I've just copied the content over to Airtable. Okay, so you'll be given two fields, the name of the story and the description. Okay, your task is to return optimized content for each platform based on their unique styles. So you've got Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and then each platform is very specific, right? So this one has clear hashtags, visual descriptive, a strong call to action. YouTube Shorts title is under 50 characters, clickable, suspenseful, or surprising. Okay, and then we want to return the output in JSON. Okay, so this is the JSON field. We're just creating a variable called Instagram Reels. It's got a description, and then YouTube Shorts has a title and a description. Okay, and that's all that means. And then for these fields here, we're going to get the video name. So let me just run the previous nodes so you can see that. So I'm just going to run this. So it grabs the data from the previous node. And if I go back in here, go to schema, you're going to see here that it's basically green because it's pulled in the video name and the video description from the search database node. Okay, so we're going to copy this. Right, remember to run it at each step and also save it. So test it and give it a name. So I'm going to define it below. Let's go to expression. Let's open up a new window. So you can see that there. And then I'm just going to rename this to generate titles and descriptions. Okay, and then obviously if you're going to use an LLM chain, you're going to need a language model. So I'm just going to use OpenAI's ChatGPT because that's what I always use. And Forum Mini is perfectly fine for this, okay? Then what you need to do is we just need to go back into here and just grab this output, okay? Because we're going to need this for the parser. So this is JSON. I'm going to grab this and then I'm going to paste it into here, but we need the output to be a specific format, okay? And then once that's done, you just come back out here and then you'll see the output parser, okay? So click on this. Now we want a structured parser, right? So remove the JSON here and just paste in what was created inside of the prompt here, okay? And then this just means that we want it very structured, okay? Because these are variables. Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts are variables, and these are fields that we can call later in the automation, okay? And when it comes to the model and output parser, I don't really rename this. I just leave it as is, and you can move that over. Remember to test step, and then we can move on. So I'm just going to run this, okay, in the background. Well, I'll get the next one. Okay, so the next one is get the video. Okay, so we want a record in Airtable. Okay, so let's bring up Airtable, and for this you want get record. Okay, so connect it up to the same table and base. Okay, and then the record ID is just going to be the one from search database. Okay, so it's this one here. You just grab this and just paste that here. Okay, and that's why we need it, because a database has to be indexed, right? And each ID has to be unique, right? That's how you search a database. That's how the automation will search it. Okay, so for the record ID, just paste that in there. You know it's worked because it's green. That's the first confirmation. The second confirmation is the record ID is the same as exactly what you see in the search database node. Okay, once you've done that, you know it's worked. So let's just rename this to grab video. Okay, and then the one after that is going to be a HTTP request, because now we have the video, we can now download it. Okay, so if I just bring up HTTP, if I can spell HTTP request, right? It's a get method, but I'm just going to grab the URL from this one here because I already have it. So let's just run this. So we have it, and there you go. So I'm just going to grab the video URL, which is from the grab video URL, right, field. So you just paste that in here. but I'm just going to grab it here. You know it's worked because it's green and you can see it. You can see the URL below here if you switch to Expression, okay? And you don't need any headers or body because we're just getting it from Airtable, okay? So remember, it's get video URL and then just call this download video. Rename that, and then we're good to go. Let's just line this up a bit, and then I'm just going to move this over to the right. Okay, and then if we go to the original, you'll see that it flows off into two parts. Okay, so the first part is going to be YouTube Shorts. The second part is going to be the Instagram. So let's just go ahead and fill in the first part, which is we want to upload, we want to post it to YouTube Shorts. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a bit, make this a bit smaller, move this over a bit, just move these a bit here, and you can tidy all this up later. Just get it built first, then you can make it pretty later down the line. Okay, so bring up a YouTube node, and then find upload a video, connect it up to your credentials inside of YouTube, and then for the title, we're just gonna take. Let me just run the previous node. So we're gonna run that so you can see it. You can see the variables inside of here. Okay, and if I switch over to schema, you can see the generate titles, the basic chain. That's where I'm getting a title from. Okay, so for the first part, it's gonna be the YouTube Shorts. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this and move that over here, right? So that's the title, and then for the region code, you can put any country you want. I just usually put in the United States. A category, just fill in something that's relevant to your content. Binary, the import binary field is data, and then you just want to add another option here, okay, which is description. Okay, so this one is now going to be the description variable. Just drag that over here and drop it. And then for private status, I've left it as unlisted, right? Because if you're going to automate it, you want to have a human in the loop step, right? So let's head over to here. Title is going to be title, this one here. What if history is erased, right? And then just switch that over to there. It's red because it hasn't mapped the field, right? Which is fine. And then for the region code, just select whatever's the most relevant for you. I'm just going to do United States. Category is going to be films and animation. Data, just leave that as binary. And then the two options you want is description. Okay, so switch that over to expression. We're going to grab that from the original build. So let's just grab this. And you know it's worked, right? Because it's green. So paste that here. And then I want to have one more, which is private status. And that's going to be unlisted. Okay, and then just call this one post to YouTube. Okay, and when that's done, once it's posted, you want to update the sheet. Okay, so you want to update a record. And what that means is once I've uploaded this onto YouTube, this status here will go from blank to done, right? And the same will happen with Instagram, right? And when the entire automation is done, this will go from pending to done. Okay, so what we need for this is an Airtable update record node. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here. Let's just bring up Airtable. Okay, and then we're just gonna do update record. Connect it up. Just wait for this to load. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, but it will come back. Just rename this while I wait for it. Update YouTube status content, and then we're going to match it for column ID, and that comes from the grab video module. All right, so if we it's not showing up, let me just run this one again. I'll run this one again as well. It's because I haven't posted the video, that's why it's not coming up, but I will run the automation at the end. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the JSON here, and then before I wrap up the video, I'll show you what that looks like. So it just means that it's going to get it from this module here, right, which is grab video, because if you see here, it's actually got an ID, right? That's all we need. And then the status is done. Not that one. It's this one here, the YouTube status, right? Because we're doing a YouTube video. So that's done. And then make sure you test a step. Okay. And then we'll just move this up a bit so we can add the next part of the flow, which is going to be Instagram. Okay, so Instagram is a bit more complicated, but I'm gonna talk you through it, so just bear with me. But first, we're gonna need to use the Facebook graph, okay? Because there isn't a node that basically lets us post directly through to Instagram, okay? We have to create a container. And what that means is that we need the Facebook API node, okay? So let me install that one first. So we need the Facebook Graph API, and then you want to connect it up to your Graph account. So basically, I'll show you how to do that and how to get the access token as well. Okay. But basically, it's a default. It's get. Everything is default as you see here, and we just grab what we need from this one here. Okay. So the request method is post because we're going from our account to we're requesting it from Facebook. The version at the time of me recording this video is version 21.0, but obviously that might change. The node, this is the name, this is the ID of my Instagram page, and I'll show you how to get that. And then for the parameters, we just need the video URL, which comes from the download a video node. So we've got the video URL, and then for the caption, we've got the video name, right? And then for the media type, that's just Reels, okay? So let me just set this up first, and then I'll show you how to get everything that you need here, okay? So a couple of things that I need, which is this. Just leave that at 21, and then node is that, and then the edge is videos. No, it's media, sorry. Videos is the next one. And we're just gonna grab the video URL. And again, you know it's worked because it's got the correct URL from the Airtable. So I'm just gonna add a parameter. Okay, so we called it video URL. So underscore URL, and then just paste the value in there. Okay, and then you want to add one more. Let me just grab that. That's media type. And this is just the syntax that you need when you're uploading it to Facebook. That's all you need to know, okay? So the syntax is media type, and the value is Reels, right? Because we're telling Facebook, we're telling N8N where to upload this, in which part of the container, right? And then, so we'll call this create container, rename, and yeah, let's make sure that's done before I jump into the next part of it. Okay, so that's, again, test a step, and you should see an output, right, if it's worked, which is just an ID, okay? So to get all this information, there's a few more steps, right? So the first thing you need to do is head over to your Facebook Meta account, so it's business.facebook.com, right? You need to connect all your pages up, okay? So you need to connect the Facebook, you need to connect the Instagram. So for this, we're going to use Instagram. So make sure you add a page and just sign in, and then you can basically attach any Instagram page that you want, okay? That's the first thing. Then you can add a system user. I didn't do that, but if you wanted to do a system user, you can add like a test user, but that's fine. I'll leave that up to you. The next thing you want to do is you want to create an app. Okay, so click on add, right? Create a new app ID. So I've already done this, but I'll talk you through it. And then you just give the app a name. So we're just going to call this N8N Social Reels, for example. Click on next. The use case is other. Click on next. Just wait for that to go through. The type is business. Click on next. And then you need to connect it up to a business portfolio, which is fine. You can click on create, and then this basically will just ask you to put your password in for Facebook, and then it'll create the app. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I've already got it, right? Once you have the app created, what you want to do is you want to go over to the Graph API Explorer, okay? And what you can do is it's just developers.facebook.com/tools/explorer, okay? It will take you to this page. This is where you set up and get the access token, okay? This is where you set up the permissions for the scopes, right, of what the app can use, okay? So select the meta app that you just created. So for me, this is NA10 Reels posting agent because I've already done it, right? And then select user token because you can select a few options here. Make sure it's selected to user token. Don't ask you to connect, right? I mean, I've already done that, so I don't need it. And then what you want to do is you want to add some permissions. Okay, so the ones you want are publish video, pages show list, business management, Instagram basic, Instagram content publish, pages read engagement, pages manage metadata, pages manage posts, Instagram manage events. Okay, and the way to do that is just go in here. You can just search for these, right? You can just put it in there, or you can just go down into a tree here and just check whichever ones you want. Okay, I just typed them in because it's just quick to find. Once you've done that, it will then ask you to connect, right? And then click on generate an access token, go through the handshake, so the pop-up that you saw, just go through that, select the page, the Facebook page, select the Instagram page that you connected, and make sure the scopes are there. And then you basically grab this access token, and then you go back here, right? You can create a new one and then just paste the access token in here, and then just create connect. Okay, and then that will give you access to this. Okay, that's the way to do it. If for any reason you have any problems, just click on go to the debug tool, which is developers.facebook.com/tools/debug. Okay, /access token. Paste your access token inside of here. Click on debug, and you should see the pages that it supports. Okay, so the scopes that you want is these ones that are shown here. Okay, if they're not shown in here, then that means you haven't done this step properly. Okay, so go to the debug tool, and there is one more step when you create the app. You're gonna need a privacy policy. So what I did was I just went to a website called TermsFeed, click on privacy policy generator, click on app, next step, call it whatever you want, business, enter your details here, right? Let's just call it test app. State. I'm just going to choose a random one, and then I could just put out individual for now. It's totally fine. And then if you're not collecting anything, then just put other, and for this just click on next step, and then you can just select privacy policy page or whatever's relevant to you. At the end when it's done, right, because I've already done it, so you basically get like a termsfeed.com/privacy policy, and then it'll just have a bunch of characters, right? You can just put that in there. If you've got privacy policy on a website, like let's say you own a blog or something like that, you can just take the privacy policy on there and just paste it in. Okay, but I actually did it through TermsFeed here. It's not a big deal. I mean, this app is not going to be published on the web where other people can access it, right? It's not going to be on any marketplace. Okay, so there's not really any kind of privacy issue. You're also not collecting any personal data. You're not collecting names or email addresses. This is an app that's only going to be used internally for this particular task. Okay, so once you set all that up, then you want to grab all of this as I've done, and then just click on back. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to then create the post to Instagram node. So again, that's going to be a graph search. Okay, this time it's a post. We're going to select the same API. The node, this is where you get it from. Okay, so if you go back into the Facebook business portfolio, just go to Instagram accounts, and then it's this value here. Just copy this to clipboard. Okay, and then the edge this time is media publish. Edge just means the endpoint, right? The endpoint we're using is media publish, right? And then for this, the creation ID is just going to be the container ID from the previous node. Okay, and that's it. That's all you need. Okay, so let's just head over and attach that. So we're going to call it Facebook Graph API. And again, just connect it up. So I'm just going to grab some values from here. I'm going to grab this. And remember, it's a post because we're sending it to Facebook. Okay, API is going to be 21. The node is this. And then for this, it's going to be media publish, right? That's the endpoint that we're using. So it's still an API call, but it's just a bit more, it's a bit different to, like say, HTTP request. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to add some parameters. So we're just going to grab a creation ID and map the field. So remember, you just grab this one here and just paste it over. Okay, and so So query parameters, add a parameter, call it creation ID. Make sure it's spelled like this in the lowercase, because this is like their syntax inside of Facebook, right? And then just remember to paste in the JSON ID, and then we'll call this one post to Instagram. Okay, remember to test it, save it, and then yeah, that's most of it done. Okay, so now what we got to do is we need an update status. So I'm just going to duplicate this one. We need to attach it to here. Okay, and this time we're going to update the IG status, right? Because we've done Facebook, we've done YouTube. So the only thing you need to change here is the name and also the column. Okay, so now we're not going to need this one, we're going to need this one. Okay, so put that to done, and that's it, right? So that just means that once the automation is complete, once YouTube has been posted, once Instagram has been posted, it will then update the record and change it to done. Okay, and then the last two modules are going to be this if statement here. So let me just move this over and click inside of here. So all this means is that if the YouTube status column inside of Airtable is equal to done, and if the Instagram status is equal to done, which it is in this case, right, then we can change the status here, the overall status, to done. And that means that this has been posted, right? That's all that it's referencing. Okay, so I'm going to bring up an if. Right, let me just come out of here. Let me connect it up first. So we'll do that there, and then we'll do that there. And then we want the value to be this column here. Just going to change the expression. And then we're going to change this one to done. We'll add another condition, right? Which is the next one, which is Instagram status. So paste that there, change the expression, and if that is equal to done as well, then you move forward. So what did I call this one? If uploaded. Or you could just do uploaded question mark, right? It's kind of same kind of thing. And we don't need anything else inside of this node here. Just remember to go ahead and test that. And then the last one, once it's true, it's going to be an update status inside of Airtable. Okay, so we need to update the record. Okay, so I remember that's inside the true node, the true root. Okay, so if I just go inside of here, my trackpad's playing up. So if I go here, you can see that it's true. And then it's connected to update status. Okay, so let's just go head over there, click on true, click on Airtable, and we're going to update record. Okay, just select the correct base and the table. Just wait for that to load. If it doesn't load, just come out of it, come back in. Usually picks it up. And then if we're going to fetch the columns, and then for this, the ID is going to be, let me show you. So that will be from the previous node, which is just JSON ID. Okay, have a run it. I'm going to run it at the end to show you what that will look like once it's all done. Right, and then the only thing we need to do here, you can actually remove all these if you don't want these, right? Because there's a trash can symbol. The only thing you need to worry about is status done. Okay, that's the last thing that we're going to do. So then this will be done. And then we can call this update status, which is what I think I called it. Yep. And then yeah, that's it, it's done. So it will look something like this. Again, you can tidy it up and make it nicer, prettier. And so I'm going to pause the video, run the automation, and show you what that looks like in the outputs. But before I go, I'll show you the channel, because there's nothing in here. This is the test channel I'm going to send it on YouTube, and this is the Automation Kings Instagram. There's nothing on here. It's going to be in the Reels once I run the automation. I've run the automation and you can see the green ticks, which is always a good sign. So let's head over to the Airtable first. If it's worked, you'll see the green done statuses, okay? And that just means that when the entire automation is done, once the YouTube has been posted, once the Instagram's posted, it's then done a complete check. All across the board, it'll be green, okay? I'm gonna show you what it looks like inside of this test channel on YouTube. So let's just see this as a preview. And here you go. That's the video there as a YouTube short. Okay, and this is on YouTube obviously, and then this one is on Instagram Reels. Same video, and you can see it's got captions and everything else as well. Okay, so that's the automation in a nutshell. Hopefully you take some value from this. You can expand this and you can add more. I probably will add TikTok in the future. There is some bits and pieces that I need to work out, but this is the no API route, okay? It is a lot easier if you use a paid API solution that generates content, but if you want a very low cost effective solution, then this is definitely for you, okay? So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, but before you leave, please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.